I'm Terrence James, you're watching another episode of Neutral Reviews, and today I have the keys for a 2007 Mercedes SLK, or Chrysler Crossfire. If you recognize that Freudian slip, you will also want to have the question answered like I do, if now that they're with the Stellantis group, if Chrysler should bring back a nice looking GT cruiser like this. So what we want to do is take this for a drive down memory lane and tell you all about the Chrysler Crossfire and whether or not it's missing in action, give you all the facts and tell you how it feels and lead to our final thoughts. So here we go, super excited. Oh, this even uses a real key. Look at that. All right. And here we go. So the first thing that I want to do is give a shout out to Oxford Dodge. They support the show, which I really appreciate, but they are a great dealership. They really seem like they care about people. Most importantly, because we like to find the fun in every drive, they are fun. If you check out their social media and things like that, they're great. So now let me tell you the story about the Crossfire from the early 2000s. Well, it was a time where people had a lot more money and enjoyed doing a lot of fun and opulent things, like go for drives in their two-door sports coupe, rear-wheel drive for fun. And exactly that's what I would do. So I started off selling cars, I think in 1999 or 2000 or something like that. And then a few years after that, around 2004, I believe model year, I bought myself a Dodge SRT4. And around the same time, in between model years 2004 and 2008, the Chrysler Crossfire came out. And it was at a time when Daimler Chrysler was a company, which meant that Mercedes-Benz merged with Chrysler and basically were the parent. And it was glass half full or glass half empty back then. It wasn't the best to work for Chrysler in the sense that, we got the hand-me-downs from Mercedes and things like that. But on the same note, if you looked at it from a glass half full, well, that was 10-year-old Mercedes technology, yes, but it was technology that Ford and Chevy and our other Dodge and Chryslers weren't offering at the time. And I believe it was around $40,000 to $50,000 Canadian, something like that, which was a lot of money. But again, at the time, when you were looking at your little SLKs and your little BMWs and I think around the 350Z was around that time as well. And kind of a Mazda Miata as well, especially if you got the nicer RF one that was all jammed up. It was right in line with those. And as I said, it was a good deal. They adjusted the price for that old technology, but you got some pretty good technology. But they put an interesting look on it. Art Deco. Which means, in Francais, it's another accent for you. Oh, oui, oui. Art decorative or decorative art. Why don't you just say that? Anyway, it was a time where if you look at the Chrysler building, the Empire State Building, it was that time of opulence and it was really unique styling at the time. And that's what this car was going after, to try to remember that opulent time where people had money and were enjoying themselves and technology and things like that. It's essentially what this car brought and things like that. So what did it bring? Well, like I said, that 10-year-old technology. You got the little SLK platform, which had double wishbones on the front, multi-link in the rear, which again, Porsche's just doing that in some of their high-end models now, which was pretty awesome. When you had normal brakes and things like that. But again, this was like the Mazda Miata. It wasn't a track car. They had an SRT version of that, which had around 100 more horsepower and 100 more pound-feet of torque out of that 3.2-liter Mercedes V6. So that supercharger worked pretty good. So again, you were looking around 215 horsepower, 229 pound-feet of torque. Here we go. Which was 0 to 60, around low 6 seconds, around the same as my BRZ, which isn't too bad. And what about braking? We're coming up to a stoplight here, so let's check out the brakes on this whole thing. Hold on. Oh, that's a good thing I got that spoiler deployed for that extra 90 pounds of downforce there that I didn't hit 50 miles an hour for. So anyway, I think the supercharged version, you were probably in the high 4s. So it was pretty fast back then. In the low 6s, again, people make fun of my BRZ, but that was moving back then. And that was a pretty good powertrain. You got a 6-speed manual, which I loved. And it was a big deal because my SRT4 only had 5 gears, so it was very exotic to have the 6-speed. I'm pretty sure that SRT was automatic only, but they did offer, I think, a 5-speed automatic, which was nice for people that wanted that. But I think the 6-speed was really popular. The pedals are fairly nicely spaced together. Again, it's not really something you're heel towing, but I got little size 8 to size 9 feet, and they work just fine for that. Steering wheel, so weird and ugly. It's one of the few things that's not a Mercedes part in here, and there's no buttons on it, and it's only telescopic, not tilting, which was a little weird. Okay, so we're going over some bumps here. So how's this old suspension here? All right. Oh, this guy's in a Honda. You're going pretty slow. Ugh. Yeah, I got a Crossfire. That wasn't too bad. Yeah, so that was the nice thing with vehicles like this. Back in the day, it was meant to be supple, but also when you're going around the corners here, yep, handles pretty good. Not bad at all. You hear that V6 sounds pretty good. You know, it wasn't the best sounding engine, but again, this is more of like a luxury type vehicle. GT Cruiser sounds pretty good in here, nice and quiet. So let me just put in the clutch and turn this into the nice 6th gear, lower the RPM down. So, you know, doing normal back road speed here, I'm just barely under 2,000 RPM, and it's quiet, but not too quiet. Quiet enough that it's, you know, like the GT luxury type thing, but I can still hear things, wind noise. It's a bit of weird cabin, you know. It's kind of like the Supra in the sense of, you know, it's a little cocoon. I personally like that. I like this cockpit feel. They're getting away from that nowadays. I like the big pillars. I like these big German doors. You know, it makes a nice thud and things like that. No, it's a really, really nice vehicle. I really, really like that. It does feel small in here, but not like Mazda Miata small. More like my car, just minus the back seats. So I do feel like I have a little elbow room in here. Even though the roof sits a little bit lower, it does seem to be cut out a little bit like my car, give you some space. Yeah, I don't feel claustrophobic. I'm only 5'7", 150 pounds, but yeah, I feel pretty good in here. Now, when we talk about practicality, well, there is none because there's no back seats. And as you can see, that trunk really isn't too bad, especially back in the day, because this was, you know, probably a second car for most people. And that's plenty of space. Like, you know, considering you don't have the back seat, I'm spoiled with my BRZ because I can put those seats down, but that's way more than a Mazda Miata, probably like a current Nissan Z or something like that. And when you come in here, comfort-wise, like these seats sit really low like a Mazda and flat, not a lot of cushioning. But then I was like, you know what, this car is like pretty old and it's got some miles on it. It's only 50,000 kilometers, but I'm telling you, I was actually impressed because I thought to myself, oh, well, actually, these seats aren't too bad. You know, the driving position and, you know, the power seats on both sides, and there's a lot of adjustment. I could go a little bit lower, but then I would have a little bit trouble seeing over. Now, when we talk about visibility too, as you can see, it's not too bad up front here, but one thing that I did get it's hard to get used to because we're spoiled nowadays with backup cameras. I mean, I was obviously raised on cars where you had to learn to use the mirrors, but yeah, it's a bit of a challenge on this. I can see out okay when we're just driving like right now, but yeah, if you're parking, it's weird because it's hard to see out the back. But yeah, visibility wise, maneuverability wise, it's not too bad at all, because it's a tiny little car. Yeah, it's really, really fun to drive. I really like the shifter, you know, short throws. It's a little sloppy Germanish from back in the day, but I also have to say that it's awesome. Like, it's not bad. I'm spoiled. Like, my BRZ Subaru is known for, you know, a car that's not super expensive, a really amazing, crisp, very mechanical, you know, shifter, and the same with the Civic Type R, things like that, or a Honda SI, Civic SI. So this is really, really good. Like, a short throws, it's just a little wiggly, that's all. And the clutch, it's a little springy but light, and the pickup, you know, engagement point you can feel is pretty normal. I like it. It's not confusing, not easy to stall. Yeah, I mean, there's no power shifts or anything else like that. But no, I like it. I really, really do. What else? When we're talking about the steering, though, it is a little weird. Like, we've got that awesome suspension and things like that. With the double wishbone is what I mean by that and whatnot. But the steering, it doesn't even use rack and pinion. It uses recirculating ball. Really, really older system. And it's not really all that fast or precise. But it's actually not as bad as I was anticipating. That's for sure. What else to talk about other than the fact that it's a car from the early 2000s, meaning it looks pretty cheap in here. Like, back in the day, it's funny how things have changed, because this was a $40,000, $50,000 car that used to be a Mercedes, so it was really nice in here. Like I said, everything aside from this ugly steering wheel is Mercedes. All the switch gear in here is Mercedes. That's the other thing to get used to is my car. Again, you just tap the blinker once, not all the way down, and that way you can go around people. Just puts the blinker on 2 or 3 times and then shuts it off for you. Well, no, you got to do the everything's the old-fashioned way. You got to put the key in. Oh, how are we going to manage? But yeah, no, it's just little stuff like that that's a little strange, including a CD player. One of my friends from the States, she was joking around and said, you know, people still listen to CDs from time to time. It would be nice. Why don't cars have it anymore? And this has it. It's I don't know. I don't use my infotainment that much. Most people nowadays have your phones and things like that. So, you know, it's not all that necessary really. And it's kind of nice not to be distracted by stuff. These gauges here are absolutely stunning. Very Mercedes from the time. They look like a nice analog watch or something like that. But yeah, you got scratchy hard materials everywhere. This fake metal looks awfully fake nowadays and plasticky. These little buttons here are cool, but on the same note, you know, they feel a little chintzy. But this one button here is pretty cool. It's the spoiler button. Yep, I can put my spoiler up and down and be really cool. And I think it's like 90 pounds of downforce or something like that. So, you know, you want to go around those corners. But no, you know, in all seriousness, when we're going down memory lane here, I'm really, really enjoying this. It's a beautiful car. It's enjoyable to drive. It just reminds me of the Mazda Miata, just a little chunkier, in the sense of it's just a great driving car. Just everything just perfectly right, and it gets lots of looks, and it's just practical enough, which leads me to my final thoughts. Well, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and check out one of our other cool small car GT type reviews so we can get more cool cars like this one and our upcoming review. So we start off this review by looking to answer the question, if now that Chrysler is with the Stellantis group, like they were way back when with Mercedes, if they should use that relationship to bring back a cool, good-looking GT type car. Well, we took this thing for a ride, gave you the facts, went down memory lane, told you how it felt, and now I have to say that, you know what, people don't have a ton of disposable income anymore, so is this probably going to work as a new car? Probably not. I really wish that it would, because I miss when there was more money where people could buy fun second cars like this, because this definitely wouldn't be a good daily driver for most people because there's not a lot of practicality to it, like something like my B or Z or a Mustang or something with some back seats. But nonetheless, this is a really fun, good-looking car that's fairly reliable, especially now for a used one. The fact that this is that old and has that many kilometers, 50,000 something kilometers, still tight as a drum, and works really, really good. That is a good sign that this would make a great used car for somebody. So, should they bring it back? I think so. Will they? I highly doubt it. If not, why don't you buy the used one? Thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time.